Earlier this week, it was reported that President Donald Trump is considering removing protections for so-called dreamers. These are people protected by an Obama-era program known as DACA, which says that if you came to the country as a child, even if you came without papers, you came illegally, as long as you came as a child, you can now stay here, get a work permit, go to school, come out of the shadows. Now, there were arguments made that this should be extended to parents as well. That has all been pushed aside. The so-called dreamers, though, have remained protected throughout President Trump's tenure. He has teased in the past that he was going to eliminate DACA and never did so. He often speaks about his affection for children. People who know him talk about how much he likes children, and he has always kind of spoken warmly about this program. But as his support diminishes down to this kind of bedrock of his true supporters, where the number one issue for them is immigration, he's looking for everything that he can do to please that base. So after the reports emerged, the community started pushing back. Like I said, this is 800,000 people that currently have these protections. So a coalition of groups plan to protest for 4 o'clock this afternoon here outside the White House, led by United We Dream. We're going to talk to a few of them.
We are grateful today for the solidarity that we see around us. Yesterday was a sucky day. To think that today could be the end of DACA, but because of our courage, because of our work, we live to fight another day and to send a clear message to Donald Trump that we will hold the line.
My name is Grace Martinez Rosas, and I'm the Advocacy Director with United We Dream here in a protest with NACASEC.
I heard you talk a lot about how voting impacts DACA and defending DACA and things like that. So can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's clear after the elections of 2016 that voting is a moral action. Voting is something that people do to ensure that their values are enshrined in our democracy. And unfortunately, the votes did not turn out in the way that we would want them to this time. And so we have a white supremacist in the White House that is threatening to get rid of the program that protects me and 800,000 other young people, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. And we are here to say that we are not going to allow that to happen.
Absolutely. So what is your hope for the midterm elections? What do you hope to see be done differently?
I think that for immigrants and undocumented people all across the country, we hope to see bold leadership for both parties, going away and moving away from the white nationalist agenda that Donald Trump and Republicans are now parading in our country, and seeking bold leadership from Democrats to ensure that young people of color are not in detention centers and are not deported.
What do you have to say to those who decided their vote was not important enough, decided to stay home on election night? What do you have to say to them?
I'll say that I can understand what a disappointment sometimes the democracy can be, but I will also say that it's also beautiful, and that it's not just about the presidential elections. It's about our city council people. It's about who gets to be your mayor, and the mayors right now are playing an important role in providing sanctuary places for undocumented people. And so I will say that I see you, that you need to get out to vote, and that if you want change in this country, you need to act.
So apart from your message to Donald Trump today, do you have a message for local and state governments?
Yes, I think that mayors, elected and local elected officials, governors need to show up for immigrants, need to ensure that there are freedom city or sanctuary city policies that allow undocumented people of color to live in those cities without fear and with protection from deportation. I know that we can get that, and we have seen many, many models of that. And so we are fighting to ensure that that happens in other places.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it's all about the executive branch. It doesn't have a lot to do with local and state governments, but it does. State governments have the right to protect their citizens. So can you elaborate a little bit more about that and how that process works?
Yeah, it's this process about federalism and ensuring that localities are able to self-define and ensure that they are the ones protecting their own community, and now allowing federalist government to allow for them to dictate what they do. And so for United We Dream, it's really important to get local elected officials into positions of power that know what to be undocumented, and you are seeing a wave of young people of color coming out to be part of ballots. And my friend Irving is a young black organizer, and he's running for city council in North Carolina because he knows that this is the time to act. And so that's going to happen with people all across the country.
What are your plans for the rest of this week? What do you hope to get out of this, and how soon do you think President Trump is going to act on this?
So we know that the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, DACA, the program that protects me and others, is under attack. That we don't know exactly what day and what time he will decide, if he will decide to end the program. Can you imagine the anxiety that 800,000 other young people live day in and day out? 800,000 young people that are beneficiaries of DACA. Every day they wake up thinking about whether this is going to be the day that their protection will be ended. And so we don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that we're ready to fight. That starting September 1st, we're occupying the city of Austin and ensuring that Ken Paxton, which is the guy that is threatening a lawsuit on this program, that he knows that we are here to stay. And starting on September 5th, people from all across the country will come back to DC and ensure that they hear our voices.
So for those who don't exactly understand what is at stake here, what does DACA protect these people from?
DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, benefits 800,000 young people by providing a protection from deportation and ensuring that we are able to have work permits. It's for young immigrants like myself that grew up in this country. It allows for us to have a job, to have health care, to have a social security. After we apply and go through a thorough application process and we pay thousands of dollars to ensure that happens, DACA means freedom. DACA means ensuring that I can drive home and see my mom. And so for United We Dream, for NACASEC, for the immigrant community in this country, and for all people of conscience, DACA is a moral line. If Donald Trump ends the program, we have confirmation that this government has been overtaken by white supremacists, and we should be very concerned.
Can you share with TYT Politics what DACA has done for you?
Yeah, DACA has allowed me to buy a home, and for an undocumented young woman of color, that's everything. To be able to call somewhere like yours, and to be able to beam with pride when you show it and share it with your parents, that's everything.
I know that this moment is difficult. We all saw the images out of Charlottesville. We saw the rally in Phoenix. We have seen the way that this administration has behaved, and there is no parsing our words. This is the behavior of white supremacists.
People, it's very important that you tell everyone the DACA program has protected nearly 800,000 young immigrants. The program is successful. The program is successful, and now somebody wants to take it down. They want to eliminate it. But guess what? Are we going to allow it? No! Are we going to allow it? No! Are we going to allow it? No! Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here.
My name is DJ Yoon. I'm here because I care about our youth and our young people's future, but also many migrants who escape from the war and violence, and they need to be protected. And this is more than young people, more than migrants. This is about our country's value, moral value. And when government doesn't seem to care about 800,000 young people, 300,000 migrants who are in danger, and the government wants to kick them out, that's not what America is about. So we are here as a community coming together to protect our youth and to protect our migrant community members. My mom was born in North Korea, and she was a war refugee during the Korean War. I mean, there was another reason why she came to this country, and I came to this country with my mom as an immigrant, and I grew up and I work with many different immigrant community member brothers and sisters. You know, some of them are international adoptees, some of them are undocumented, some of them are citizens, but we are all here for better life. and better opportunity, and this is what America is about. That's why we came here. But because of the one paper, because of the immigration status, if we discriminate people, that's not what this country is about. So we are fighting for what this country is about.
So you're fighting for the American dream.
That's why American value, family value and moral value. More than anything, this is a time that we have to come together to protect our young people, our youth and migrants who escape from the violence.